shooting, and he did come out with, or basically talk about having more gun control, whether it is through executive order or maybe trying through the Congress. Can I get your thoughts on that?
The irony, of course, of that is that South Carolina has some of the toughest gun control laws in the nation. And many of the things that President Obama says he wants nationally are in place in South Carolina. So honestly, I think it was another example of using a tragedy to advance a political agenda.
This obviously isn't the first time that we've had some type of mass shooting incident in the country. That doesn't seem to happen as frequently in other industrialized nations. Do you think that there's some type of problem or something different here that's going on that needs to be addressed?
Well, I would have to see the data on that, honestly. I don't know. I mean, I've heard that statement made, but I don't know if that's accurate. There clearly have been mass shootings elsewhere around the world that have gotten headlines around the world. But I do think that we need to be thoughtful about this entire subject. What is it in our culture that draws someone with obviously a lot of mental issues to violence? Why don't we ever talk about mental illness, something that isn't treated effectively in this country? Why don't we ever talk about the fact that when people are in trouble like this, usually lots of people know, and yet somehow they can't get the warning out to people who might step in and intervene in this young man's life? Why don't we talk about the culture of violence that surrounds people all the time? And somehow politicians always go to their pet issue.
Quick question, changing subjects a little bit here. You talk consistently about having a professional political class. This week, the other side of that grew by one with Donald Trump. Do you think he's trying to steal your thunder, by chance?
Oh, I think Donald Trump spends most of the time focused on his own thunder, honestly. But he clearly is not a member of the professional political class.
What is he? What is he a member of? What does he bring to this race, if anything?
I think you should ask him what he thinks he brings to the race.
How do you think about the possibility that he might get in the debate and you might just be bumping up against the top 10 criterion?
Well, current course and speed, I'll be in that debate. I feel very good about the momentum that we're building, and that's beginning now to show up in the polls. And I think probably he will be in that first debate. He certainly has the name ID to show up in those national polls. I've had to work very hard, harder than anyone else running actually, to build name ID, which is why I think my poll numbers began very low. But I'm confident I'll be there, and my guess is he'll be there as well.
Ms. Fiorina, just we can switch over to the issue of immigration. We've been hearing a whole lot about this, and one of the things that it appears that whether Democrats or your opponents within the GOP primary could hit you on are the H-1B visas, and they're essentially saying that during your time over at HP that some of these could have been issued to some of the workers. How do you plan to address that?
Well, I was the chief executive at Hewlett-Packard 10 years ago, and the H-1B visa program was very different 10 years ago than it is now. In some cases, there are legitimately positions that can only be filled with people who have a different set of skills, but it's pretty clear that the H-1B visa program has become an issue. It's become an issue where people are using it as almost an industry. It's become an issue where, at least it appears, there are some companies that are abusing that program and asking American workers to train H-1B visa replacements so they can lower wages. That's a terrible thing. I would never defend that. And so for those companies that are abusing that program, shame on them. I think it illustrates yet again that we have to fix the legal immigration system. We have at least 16 different visa programs now. We send the wrong people away, we let the wrong people in. We gotta fix the legal immigration system. People have talked about it for 25 years, it hasn't been done. I also think that this issue of H-1B visas should remind us that we really need to focus on rebuilding the education system in this country, and not just K through 12. We need to focus, I think, and invest in lifelong learning so that we are retraining people routinely, so that as they go through their lives, their skills are enhanced and improved over the course of their working life, instead of having those skills just become static.
I apologize, I've already spoken about this somewhat.
And I'll let you get the
Yeah.
last one, because you haven't had one.
What are your thoughts on the Pope's comments yesterday about the environment?
Well, this has obviously been a very outspoken Pope on a whole host of issues. I think it's interesting. There are a lot of people who are picking and choosing what the Pope says. So they like what he says on global warming, they don't like what he says on life, for example. What I would say is, I think when you read the fine print of the science that the Pope and everyone else quotes, what the fine print of the science says is that a single nation acting alone can make no difference at all. And so I think we have to be thoughtful about how we balance the need to be good stewards of our environment with the need to continue to lift people out of poverty. We need to be thoughtful about the fact that when people, on the basis of ideology, not science, literally destroy people's lives and livelihoods in this country on the altar of ideology, that we're not helping anyone. So when we regulate the coal industry out of existence, we're not helping the environment. Scientists will tell us that. It'll make no difference at all, but we're destroying communities, and we're destroying jobs, and we're making energy prices higher for the middle class, and that's all about ideology. And you don't
Last
have
question.
You get the last question.
Ms. Fiorina, since we're in Philadelphia and the last election, Mitt Romney came here just before the election. Republicans haven't won the state in over 20 years. How can you help the Republicans win Pennsylvania in 2016 if you were to have a nomination?
Well, I think we're building a network of good supporters here in Pennsylvania. I think Pennsylvanians are keenly aware of the fact that many of the things that have helped create jobs here are things that Hillary Clinton, the presumptive nominee of the Democrat Party, is against. So, you know, let's just pick one. Fracking has created a lot of jobs here in Pennsylvania. We have parts of upstate New York that now want to cede from the state of New York and come over to Pennsylvania so that they could go to work as well. And Hillary Clinton would say, no, you can't have any of those jobs because that doesn't fit my ideology. So I think we have to talk with the people of Pennsylvania, just as we talk with people all over this nation, about what does it really take to create jobs, and what does it really take to get this out of control government under control? What does it really take to lead in the world? And I think we'll have a very good opportunity here in